Um,
It's now it says recording in progress. So
this is a test for recording. We're recording Ted and me, Ted and me, Ted and me.
no, it's yeah. Let me. There you go.
All
I
right,
heard those
everybody.
words.
So here's the thing. This is going to be a whole conversation about an idea that had Heather popped up into this group chat, right? We're talking about all the speakers at PPC over this amount of time. And from that idea, it was already in line with something I'd already pitched to PPC. So I kind of wanted to follow the thread of these ideas and see if how much of this we can execute at the actual PPC, but there's also an idea that I have that could go beyond, before, during, and after. So in order to get started on time, Heather, can you go ahead and talk about the idea that you had first? And then I was going to also go into the things that kind of spun right off of that.
Yeah, so my idea was that we all kind of talked about how, how that our speech or our talk impacted us, and then kind of an update of where it took us since then. An ideal time frame in my mind is about 2 minutes. I know we've got some people who 2 minutes is going to be difficult to fit everything in, and then some people that'll be done in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
um, So I think we could probably keep it pretty concise and then just kind of stitch them together. And just have 10 minutes or so of just like, this is what this was and this is what it meant and this is where I'm at now.
Can I
Yeah. And
toss in a thought there?
Yeah.
yes.
So 10 plus people, 2 minutes of talking. I mean, we're looking at 20 to 30 minutes of just like a full, like it, I feel like it would get, and I don't want this to come off bad. I'm just thinking from like the production standpoint. I feel like it would get old, right? And so
You want
what I,
30 seconds?
well, what I was thinking is if we do this ahead of time,
Right.
and I have time, um, it could be pieced together like a traditional interview, like where you've got everyone's clips and then you pull the pieces from
Yep.
each one to make a story that falls into 10 or 15 minutes. So it kind of bounces all over the place, but you play off of each person's piece. So like everything you say in the 2 minutes won't necessarily make it in, but it would be like a flowing story between everyone.
So you'd have an interviewer who would say, "So tell me when you did your story and what your story was about at that time," and then you would clip to three or four people saying, "Yes, mine was in 2017. I talked about the
Yeah.
gallery, the corner of help and need," and then you go and swing over to Gallagher, and he would say that little bit, and
So
then
you
we go
have
in to talk about
questions,
the other thing
cues.
Yeah.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, and if we all agree to the same questions and we each answer the same questions, then like
It's
there's the
easier for you to keep
format.
it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
this
like
way,
maybe
everybody can be involved if we do this before instead of trying to film it on site.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would rather do it before because then I can make sure that I'm in the right space. I'm not
Mhm.
sacrificing another opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for that.
Heather, and I'm sort of jump in, and I know Jen
Yeah.
has some ideas, but I want to make sure I understood your idea,
Yes.
because y- I think what's key to what I hear you saying, and please, this is just to make
Yeah.
sure I understand what I think you're saying, is you're interested in how our talk and getting up in front of a group of people and the feedback we got from the people, how it affected us personally going on from there. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And was it a big deal? Did it change anything? I know for me, mine personally was about being over busy. And 2 months after that talk, I went from running or being a coordinator of one department to being a manager of four. So my workload quadrupled. And initially it was very much, since mine was about, it almost being like a drug. It was like a major, um, you know, back to that. And I really had to work hard to rebalance and figure out how I was going to balance this thing I wanted which was this big promotion, was not leading me to burnout again.
Yeah.
And you know, where I've come to now, whereas I'm at a much better place than I probably was, you know, 6 months ago, when it very much, if it had been a drug, I would be in active addiction, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, Ted?
Yeah, my story's not going to be that dramatic, but definitely, you know,
Yeah, but I think even, you know, like for what did it do for me, right?
Yeah.
So I was actually, it's funny this all came up because I was talking to my wife a few days ago. I had a huge meeting with, like, I was running a retrospective with EVPs and C-level people in my company. And my wife was like, wow, you know, do you get like nervous and everything about that? Because that sounds crazy. And I'm like, you know what? Since I did that talk and opened up personally in front of a whole bunch of people,
Yeah.
like nothing's as crazy as that.
Right?
You know, so like, no, I killed it, you know, so it's like, I think, you know, it's not just the topics that we talked about, but it's also, you know, the
How the
experience
experience.
of
yeah.
talking in front of 50 plus people, you know, something very personal, emotional, you know, that changes you professionally. So,
Would you want to intersperse any of the behind the scenes images and stuff like that? Like, it was a great picture someone took of Michelin, Jen,
Yeah, you guys
Brooke,
all
and I
hugging.
hugging. Yeah,
Yes, that was beautiful. Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that picture is. Kim probably took it.
I
Um,
mean, I could go into full blown like interview documentary editing mode, which I've done, and it's fun to piece things together, and
I
then you
think
can
that's a
put
good
in
idea, Tim.
images and stuff.
I think
Yeah,
that's a really good idea.
Could
basically
I
turn it into a movie.
I was gonna say, I was also gonna say, because depending on how we film this, right? Are we thinking, Tim, like just video from phone?
Yeah, I'm thinking if everyone uses their phone, and as long as, and I can send out very detailed instructions, as
Yeah.
long as everything is in the same like
Frames per
um
second.
yeah, frames per second. Like if we decide let's do 24, right? Everyone set their phone to 24, 1080p, and that way we just have a common. Then as long as that's working, then I can piece it all together. I mean, ideally everyone should be landscape versus portrait personally, but
Yeah.
um as long as all of that is the same, then it's just a cut this clip, cuts this clip, cut this clip, piece it all together, you know, and it honestly, it would take me a few hours, I think,
Yeah, and
especially
with
if
the
we knew what
prompt
the questions
questions,
were.
that makes it easy. So you're not searching
Yeah.
for stuff that's
We get the
alike.
questions set up and then we get the format set up, and then all we got to do is turn them into you, Tim, right?
Yeah, and then I just make the promise that I will 100% make sure that I take a piece, at the very least, a piece of every single person's answer to each question, so that no one's left out of any of the sections, right? It'll it's just finding the right order to make it
Yeah.
flow.
What
But
fits
I
well
think,
together.
yeah, you know, I could make sure that every single person gets in for each question, because I know like I might answer a question very wordy, you know, but it'll only make sense to take, you know, a 10-second clip out of that whole mess that I just said, because it blends into the next person's, right?
Yeah.
Well, and whereas we all might be interested, I'm interested in seeing all of you guys' full answers. The rest of the crew probably is not. We're not as invested in it.
I wanted to expand on that as an idea because I already host podcasts and record them. Would everybody maybe be interested on just coming on and doing a long form recording with me on my setting here? It's always timed because I like timing it. It keeps me accountable to time. Would everybody be interested in doing that in a long form, and then I can just throw it up on YouTube for all of us to enjoy at a later time, kind of a thing? And I can just record it
Yeah.
on Zoom.
I'm fine with whatever. Excuse me, with whatever.
I think yours would be a good way of collecting it, Jen. But I like Tim's idea of making it more of a documentary
No, I mean
kind of.
his
Yeah.
would be for PPC. Mine is for enjoying afterwards. Like you can go in as many details as you want on the long form, and then we have the set question format for Tim's project. Mine would just be an expanded version that people could watch at another time.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
mean,
if anybody's interested.
for me, and this is just personal opinion, um, is that if we take the clips from Zoom, yes, they'll be consistent, but they'll also be, for lack of a better term, shitty.
Oh
Because
yeah, I
like
know.
internet speeds, cutouts,
That's why I was saying this is
audio.
two different projects. It's two
Oh,
different
okay, I see what
projects.
you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
was trying to say. Like yours is one that we specifically set up for PPC. The one
Hmm.
that I'm suggesting is for a completely separate thing where if anybody wants to expand more, like you just said, Heather, like being able to talk more in depth of detail about your full experience instead of trying to cut it down to 2 minutes, which I think is perfect for PPC because, like you said, we don't want it running too long. But that's just an opportunity to sit with me and we can talk about it in long form. And then you just have it there for yourself to share with other people.
We'd have a deadline of submission to Tim, and a deadline for setting intention with you, Jen, for us to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll need
Would it make
deadlines on
sense to
that.
have you, Heather, sort of be the consistent a questioner? So you will record it only once, but you'll sort of say, here's the 3 things that you want, and then we all respond to it in our own video, and then Tim uses those to cut it into one
One documentary.
I mean,
documentary.
that could work, but Jen, did you ever give an official talk or were you just the opener?
I was an opener. Yeah, I
So
was
it
never
almost
officially
sounds,
story
it
sessions.
almost sounds like, in my opinion, you should be the one giving the questions because you were part of multiple people's experience. Whereas, like, I know my experience, but you were part of 2 or 3 different times. So if you were the interviewer, I think it ties all of those experiences together in a more tangible way than if it was me.
That's a good
And I think
idea.
we've already kind of touched on the basis of the questions I would probably ask anyway. And it's everything in your idea, Heather, would be how has this impacted you after your talk? Did something change in your life? Did the way you approach speaking to other people change? Stuff like that. Like Tim
Yeah.
said earlier.
So
Mhm.
you would keep this to a small number of questions, I imagine, sort of
Very small. Yeah,
a
very small.
recap of what happened, and then some pointed questions about how that's impacted the ongoing from there.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think
could
we
see
could even
4 or
nail down
5
the questions
questions.
now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could. And I think 4 or 5 is absolute top because Tim's going to have to review them all. And so keeping it short gives him.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't want to, we don't need Tim to be on the editing floor for more than several hours.
So
Well,
Jen, start like we're doing it right now so that we got an idea of what we would do, and then we'll sort of work on the questions that I think you should ask. So over to
The
you.
first one is what year?
So we're gonna start with,
Do you
I'm
want me to
guessing,
take
and
notes?
that's important to, Heather, I know that was your idea to start with that. Like, hey, my name is ...
Right. So you could say name, year,
I
and place.
spoke at PPC.
Do you want them to say when their first PPC was and when they spoke at PPC? Like, my
No,
name is
because
Chrissy
it
Blunt.
doesn't matter when their
Doesn't
first
matter?
PPC
Okay.
was, because it
Yeah.
matters when they spoke, what year they were involved. I'm sorry, I'm
'Cause I
speaking
think
like half the
Quinn
room isn't
first-
here.
Quinn
When did you
was
step
first
up on
year.
stage?
Okay,
Well,
so name
I
and
think
when did you
Go ahead.
speak?
real quick. I think what leads to the questions is what's the purpose of the video, right? So is the purpose to give it to Brooke to like show her how her
The
doing
impact she's
this
made.
has impacted
Yeah.
this. Okay. So
Yeah.
where so this is a gift essentially,
Yeah.
right? So this is a
Yes.
gift to Brooke. So yeah, I mean, starting off with just going through the whole thing of what's your name, what was the topic of your talk, and what year did you do it?
How did that impact you during and after that particular experience?
How did the experience impact you?
And, does it tie directly back to Brooke and PPC and all that wonderful thing? Because, I mean, you wouldn't submit if you weren't interested in like standing up in front of Brooke and PPC.
Right, yeah.
So, and all this kind of ties back to what she has begun and whatever continues on from here. So it's almost like a yearbook, like, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not to answer the question, but we went from the promoting passion conference to promoting passion community, and it's
Yes.
that community part that I think is sort of what we want to Tim's point, what's the thing we want to give? And what we want to give is the fact that all this brought this evolution from a
Yeah.
conference to a community.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
we've,
I think, sorry, go.
no, I was gonna say we've all impacted each other, and then
Yeah.
Brooke has made a major impact. It's like a domino effect back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I almost would, so, if it's what's your name and then how did the experience impact you, but then how do you think the experience impacted others? How do you think your
Right.
talk impacted others?
Right.
That's a hard
Yeah,
question.
and thinking about mine in particular, I've had like Jillian and a couple other people like write me every other month or
Yes.
so since that talk with like, this is what I'm doing in my life because of what you said. This changed my view. So I mean, and I didn't think that it would hit that much, and I honestly kind of thought like my experience was one I was kind of living all by myself. Like, not that other people don't get stressed or overbook themselves or,
Yeah.
Mm.
but I didn't realize that so many people were having a mirrored experience of mine.
Yeah.
Maybe not through the psychological or the lens of addiction, but and then to see it,
It's
I'm actually
really,
wondering, and I'm actually curious in this group because this is just something I've been thinking, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it was just my thought. Um, I feel like we started calling it a community
Right.
after I submitted my
Yeah.
thing on the importance of community. So I'm
Yeah.
actually not sure if the whole community aspect was actually a direct thing from my talk.
I don't know.
I've been
I
kind of struggling
think
with that.
I felt it, I think, when we were in England and bringing the Europeans into it. And, we were all worried about how we were going to, we were a North American group and we felt, how are we going to integrate these people from Europe who haven't been part of it to now? And the thing just magically,
Yeah.
it just merged. And that's when I felt it was a community. Yeah, I think all of these talks had part of it.
Mm,
I think an element to it was, mine was about how art brings people together, those who have a need and those that have a resource. And
Right.
it's when you have these conversations that you learn these things. You learn there's somebody there that
Right.
has something you need, and you have something that you can give to satisfy somebody
Right.
else's need. And I guess maybe that's my definition of a community.
mm,
And part of your talk, and this is silly, but like I didn't know anything about plasma donation before your talk, and that
Right.
wasn't the core of what it was about. But that is
No.
something that has stuck with me ever since, was the importance of that, and that it isn't just something people do to, get an extra $20 when they're down on their luck, that it has real impact on people staying alive. And art can very
mm,
much mimic that sometimes the small gift you give somebody um keeps them alive. And that's wild. And I know, Tim, your talk has challenged me to be more authentic. I mean, I'm pretty authentic in my day to day, but wear the green sparkle shoes. If they laugh, who cares? They make you feel good. And if they don't accept you in green sparkle shoes, then you're not in the right place.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that leads into how the PP community feels like the right place. Because it does.
Maybe, yeah, for sure. Maybe if we had like that intro opener, how has this impacted you either during or after? Did anyone else's talk impact you after hearing it? And then how do you, something about community, and that this
Yeah.
really created a community?
Yeah.
Yeah, because at this point, yes, we all individually may have used our voice, but in the end, it was all the voices coming together and interacting with each other's and all
Mm.
the things. So do we want to just kind of like um maybe somebody with more brain power than me kind of craft out some questions. I can totally host the questions. I can't come up with anything right now. I'm just like, blah. But yeah, if we can get some solid, 4 or 5 questions, right? And I know Tim's probably taking notes to, between Tim and Heather, y'all have got some pretty good solid stuff coming out, which is why I'm glad this is recorded, because we can always go back to this and kind of like take notes. So just to recap, we're going to have short form videos put together for all the speakers that want to be involved in this point, with promoting passion.
Right.
If you were on stage for a story session, and you're going to kind of talk about your name, when you spoke, and what you spoke about. And you're going to talk about how it impacted you during your speech or whatever presentation you put together.
Right.
You can also talk about the after effects of how that changed your life or somebody else's life that maybe, like you said, Heather, came up to you and said, oh my God, this talk really changed my perception on ...
Right.
So, and does that cover a good chunk of the meat of the questions that we need to do?
And then just one
Um,
tying to the community. would
One
be the
time to
last
the
one.
community. So at the end of the day, because this is a community event, how did all of this come to be? And how did I mean, I know that for me and Christy and Tim and Heather, you already know that. Being a part of that, just the process of becoming the person to go on stage and crafting your story, that was impactful for me. So if I was to sit down and answer that question, that process that we all went through together, just doing that was impactful for me. I didn't even need to be on stage at that point. I was just like, this is amazing. I'm getting to know Heather, Tim, and Christy so much more by them being so involved in the process of working on their story. So yeah. Anything else on this point before we move on to a couple of other things that are beyond?
Actually, you just reminded me, and I hope, again, I'm clarifying and confirming, I hope, what I heard you say.
Absolutely.
The process we went through that Brooke led,
Yeah.
before we actually did our presentations, like, she was trying to be the timekeeper. You're going to be 15 minutes. She tried to make sure that we stayed on topic, that we had some clues about how to stand in front of a group of people and do our presentation coherently. I remember taking some notes from that. I don't know if anybody else did, but that is an element to it that I think also gets back to Brooke, because PPC's changed from that first one I was at, which was legitimately a photography
Yeah.
conference,
Yeah.
to the last one was the furthest thing from a photography conference,
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I lost my train of thought. But if that part belongs in there, that development from the time she chose the 3 people to do story sessions and the process we went through to get our stories prepared, there's an element there that I think we should celebrate as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Okay.
think for a final, this is just my thought. I wouldn't mind opening it up, and this is because I'm not sure how to write the community question, so I leave that one up to you guys. But I'm almost wondering if, a final, because again, we don't want this to be like too long, otherwise Calandra might not find space for it.
Yes.
I was just thinking like a closing thoughts. Like, is there anything you want to say particularly related to, like, in 30 seconds or less kind of thing? Like,
Right.
what is your final
A
thought about
one-liner
this
even.
whole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
that
actually,
could relate to community, or I don't know. That's just a thought.
I think that's a great idea.
Like Tim could be
you know,
back to plasma donation and his thoughts, and you could say be yourself. I mean, and it's just that simple. The core of your talk was, be yourself.
Yeah.
His was, I think that'd be really powerful to just have those little snippets. Gallagher, like, you can overcome anything. I mean, there's just so many little bits that would be neat in one line.
You know who I wish we had here would be Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that because didn't Benny do a live reading at 2018?
I'm not sure where it was, but it was
Yeah,
the one that
2018.
it was the one that I don't know. it hit me hard, probably harder than any of the others.
And if we want to include Benny in that, I think that that would be a wonderful, sweet surprise that nobody's expecting.
Yeah.
So if
So
maybe you and Benny hosted together, that would be neat. Even if he, however we worked that out, whether you started it and then he came up with that last question kind of as a surprise, that might be kind of neat.
I think Gallagher, your experience with Benny on the train, especially the guy that threw up on you.
yeah.
Oh no.
No, not well. We'll get rid of all the vomit. No, we don't do that. But,
Okay, okay. So don't stay on the rails, Ted. Stay on the rails. Okay, so this portion, I think we've got a solid structure, right? We know Tim's end result is going to be this cool little documentary style video. And Tim, whenever you can, get us the format of how we need to record it on our phones. And then we can relay all this information to everybody who wants, everybody who's was on stage, or, even the extracurricular activities. We could include a
Who
couple
here
of
does not have an iPhone?
people. Ooh.
I have a iPhone work phone. So it might come from my work email.
Okay. Because I don't know the Android setup. So
Okay.
what I will do is, I mean, in general, Google's everyone's best friend. So I'll send the formats and roughly how to do it on an iPhone. And then
how
we'll
do you
figure
feel
it out.
about like a what's the other thing I have? The Hero.
As long as it's in the format, because listen, I'm not gonna go into like a full-blown color grade of
Right,
this,
right.
just for
Make
time,
it
right? So
cinematic.
yeah, I mean, I'll give things a little bit of a tweak, but like I'm not gonna like grade this to look like Michael Bay film. So
And honestly, I think for me, and Tim, you'll probably agree, make sure you have some good, clean audio.
Oh, yes.
yes, yeah,
I mean, Heather, you cannot love you, but don't do this in your car.
I won't do this in my car. That's why I need deadlines so I can schedule it into my life.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I have an
yeah.
I have an
Sorry,
Android
I'll
for a
tell everyone the
personal phone
deadline.
and an iPhone.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deadline.
If
Don't do
everyone
it
can have this to me before
before.
before the Friday of Labor Day.
Say that
Okay.
again, Friday.
Hold on.
Friday of Labor Day. So that's 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Because
So you
I'm
mean
traveling
September
the week.
5th?
No, it would be like basically the end of August. So 2 weeks from now.
So the 29th of August.
Yeah.
Before Labor Day. Okay.
If that's possible, because I'm traveling the week. Yeah, I mean, and just a few questions, quick recorded, just recording it. I'll throw some like tips, like quiet room, have someone there if you trust them enough to like ask you the questions. So that way, you're talking to a human as opposed to just the camera. I think that, will probably give you a better response and a better reaction. Um, but I'm traveling for work. I'll be in Chicago that week. So then I get back and I get a long weekend. So I'll probably have plenty of time to do it then, because I'd like to get this together so I could send it out to everyone. Because Heather, let's say you respond to a certain question a certain way, right? And
Okay.
I'm going through all of this stuff. I'm looking at everybody's thing and I'm picking out little pieces and stuff. But if I don't get the piece that you really wanted, I want you to be able to
Right.
tell me that so
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
can go back in, re-edit, and get those
Right.
pieces. So I'd like to send it to everyone. You tell me if I got what you wanted. If I didn't, we'll go back and I'll re-edit, so there'll be a second edit.
Okay. Sounds good.
I think that sounds great. Yeah.
So for questions, why don't we aim in the next 2 days to have those nailed down?
Yeah.
And would it
We can
make
do that in
sense
the
to
chat.
have Jen actually record and give us, like to your point, Tim, if I have Jen asking the question on my screen, even though she's virtual or she's not real or she's a recording, that would help if she's asked the question and I'm responding to
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can
and
totally set that up as
pre-recorded Jen.
I can pre-record it. If you need somebody to get you freshed up for the questions, make sure I have the questions. I can just set up a YouTube video that y'all can pull up on your own leisure And if you need me to sort of guide you, then I can just be there. That's
Yeah, that would be useful,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And I mean, the one question I have for this group, and I think I'll put this in the video tidbits of sorts, tips, if you will, is that do we all want to look directly at the camera or do we want to look off the side?
I think look
I
direct.
know that's a little thing, but
I would be at the camera.
Yeah, but
I
most
want-
straight
often,
into the camera.
I want somebody to be looking like I want you to look at me and we look at each other. That's how I would approach it for
Yeah.
myself.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and that's fine. Normally I would go the other route, but it
I
doesn't
would
matter.
too. Most documentaries are normally with the person
Yeah,
sort of
you're
oblique.
talking to the interviewer, but
Yeah.
we're kind of not, and again, this is a gift for Brooke, so we're talking to her,
Yeah,
right? So I
want to
think
look
that
at
does
I want
make
to look at
sense.
whoever's receiving this information. I want them to like I'm looking at you.
And that's fine. But the only thing I would ask then is that we all do that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that way it's not
absolutely.
jarring to have one person looking off to the side and then one person looking directly at, So I'll put that in the tips.
Okay. Do we think we have
And then
enough?
Jen, yeah.
This,
And then I would say, Jen, you probably need to close it out with a statement. So,
okay.
you open it, you're going to be the question giver. And then at the end, be like, this is our gift to you, Brooke. Thanks for creating a community that, we could call home or, our found family.
Yeah.
Or even would have Virginia. So the word for found family in Hawaiian is Hanai, and Hanai means found family. And so my adopted sister-in-law is Hawaiian, so we're her Hanai. And I think it's kind of a beautiful word for
That is that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
But I'd want it to come from her given that's where she started
Yep.
her new life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So either you or her kind of as the sage, that sage presence she brings.
It might be kind of cool to like I open, she ends kind of a thing. That might be really neat.
Yeah.
So, do we feel like we've covered this enough we have our running orders that we need and
I think so, yeah.
I want to get to this next idea before we have to close out for the next call. Yeah. The other one is much less stressful.
Good.
So are we good? We're going to have questions to answer. We're going to record in a format that Tim is going to hopefully help specify for us no matter what phone you have. And
yeah,
then
I'll have that in the next few days.
In the next couple of days, and then we will get them to Tim, and then Tim will do his magic, wonderful things, and we will have a gift to give at this current coming up PPC. Thank you for the idea, Heather, and I'm glad it kind of tied in with what my idea was as well, because it really was about our voices and us coming together and all this other stuff. The next idea that I personally have, and this is going to be for every single attendee. So if you're watching this video, try to tell other attendees of any kind, past, present, future. The idea that I have is very similar to this, where we all kind of like, we give a recording or a voicemail of what PPC has done for us and how it has impacted our lives in general, either as an attendee, speaker, whatever, however we've been a part of it. How has it impacted you? And one of the best ways I came up with my husband's help a little bit was, and it sounds really like old school, but like literally, like I know I talked to Christy briefly about this, about doing recordings at PPC on those little silly phones that you just pick up and you leave a message.
The phone booth ones like weddings?
Kind of like that. But then I thought bigger. I thought to myself, but what if everybody who is not coming wanted to leave a message? And so the next solution I came up with for the broader aspect of everybody who is not even going to be there or is going to be there, I have a Google Voice number where people can leave voicemails, and I can do a compilation of everybody's voice messages. And we just kind of put this really cool audio thing together as like an audio thing. And he even suggested to a slideshow, but not to override Kim's slideshow, but to maybe have it from our on the streets perspective of our voices that came together that had this experience. And it wouldn't be hard for me to say, call this number and leave a voicemail, because I can download the voicemail directly from my Google Voice. Any thoughts on that? I thought it was going to be a fun idea that everybody can do. They can start now if they want to. They can do it at PPC, and they can even do it when this last PPC is over with. And it's just something that we could kind of keep out there as a audio yearbook.
Yeah, it's either that or letters.
We
But
thought about that too. Calandra and I did talk about it. We talked about letters but we also thought about voice and how impactful voice is as well. And even if people want to write letters and read them on the voicemail, like maybe we write letters at PPC and we drop them off there at PPC, but then we also do a voicemail recording. That would be kind of really just like a really sweet present.
I think that would be neat. And if it was like a just drop your letter, almost like to Santa, and I know that's silly, but just kind of a drop in, and then she can take all that home. And then the voices could be almost for everybody, but those letters might be private.
Yep.
And then she can share what she deems is appropriate to share and hold on to what she deems is just for her.
And I figure this way we all can participate. We've all been impacted in some way, and we all have something we probably want to say to her that we've never said, or to just the community. And I think that's when the voicemail idea came to my head. I was like, oh, I think we got to do this, because you can do this at any time. Anytime. I mean, I know people will need deadlines, but we can start it now and we can go all the way through PPC. And if we do want to have a designated letter drop, then that's easy to put together. And I can always mention that going forward to Calandra if we want to just set something up. It's easy. They do it at weddings. You just drop it in a little box, right?
yeah.
Right.
And because I think, she's probably going to need a little bit, even though she may not ask for it, but she might want a little bit of words and things going forward to encourage her and remind her of the impact that she's made. And I don't know, words are very powerful, so they can either hurt you or they can uplift you. And I always want to try to uplift people as much as possible. So I just think it would be beautiful for her. And well, basically everybody, but if we do the voicemails, then everybody can hear it. It's another version of hearing your story. But I do like the expansion of do a letter and keep it private for her too. I love both of those. And so
Yeah,
well,
I'd
and
say
the
let's
anonymous
do both.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there
'cause
may
I
be
think
things people want to tell her that they don't want public, that they can slip in a small note and put in the box.
Exactly.
Yeah, and not to mention, I know like with me, just personally, I can get more out written
Yeah.
than I can verbally. Like I'll choke up and
Yeah.
just be like, this
I know what you mean.
and move on, Whereas like in a letter, I can like truly get out because I've written it. I don't have to actually say it,
Yeah. So I think that would just be, just kind of like wrap it up with a bow, right? Like some icing on the cake. And I love all of these ideas. I want to see all of them happen because, as a community, we're worth celebrating, and we're worth celebrating the person who also started it. So.
Well, and I think we all know that if this comes back, it's going to come back different.
Totally.
It's probably not going to. So, we're helping shape what may be the 2.0 of this.
Yeah. And I think even when I spoke with Calandra about this, she even realized, well, yeah, y'all can take these things and kind of run with it. And I said, yeah, I mean, with obviously permission, but it's like, we don't need to have, we don't have to have permission for every single thing that we have ideas for. And some of these things, we just bring them back to them and say, hey, can we do this? We feel like this is something really cool and important. And you know what? They've listened. So it's kind of nice to have that opportunity. So if that's cool, I was just going to like throw that out there as an option. This is for everybody who has ever been an attendee. They can leave a voicemail. I can just start collecting them. It's not a big deal. That's a project that can go on for a month or two. I don't even care, but I just thought it would be really nice to put something together. And then if we have photos from this next PPC, but BTS, all these fun things we created together over the years, we can make a slideshow. I can throw the audio on there, and it's like a nice, sweet present. So
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, so we got some solid awesomeness to do.
Do we know why this is ending?
There's speculation, but nobody really knows for sure.
Yeah, and we're not going to do this on the recorded call.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah. Mm. Nope.
I think we'll find out more at PPC.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure
Mm.
if she wants to let us know, then she will.
And it could just be something as simple as it's been 10 years. It's time for something different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it literally could be. So, all right. Well, I'm going to stop recording on this part. I think I can stop recording and it'll be fine. So everybody's got their list of things that we're going to do. And then so in the next couple of days, we'll be ready. But and anybody who's watching this on the replay, if you want to start with the voicemail idea, if it's something you want to send in right away, then I will get the information to you, as well as anybody who is attending PPC, be thinking about some letters you want to drop off for the people involved. And this could be, honestly, if we wanted to write a letter to other people too, that might be nice. Is there anything else I've missed, guys, before I stop recording?
I don't think so.
No. When you do your prompt video for the interview type thing, leave some decent gaps that'll give us time to actually hit the pause button so that we can.
I will. Okay.
Yeah, and that'll help a little bit with.
Oh yeah, in
timing.
between each answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way I can, it'll be like I'm sitting there with you.
Yeah, it will be your smiling face
and like I said, the podcast style stuff we can always do separately. I can message everybody individually if you want to go into long form about your things that have changed or stayed the same or whatever. I want to give you free reign to have. I just like hearing stories of impact, and I can always put it underneath the umbrella of one of my podcasts and just be like PPC, community chats, whatever. And everything else, we're good to go. So everybody watching, we will see you very soon at the next PPC, but also we'll see you soon in video format. All right, I'm going to stop recording and we'll see you soon, guys.
And I see it's